So today we'll start with the next topic. There we were having various levels. We are having process state, number, counter, register, memory unit, list of open files, various things we were having over there. Done. Today we'll start with the next topic, process scheduling. Okay. We'll start with the next topic, process scheduling. Done. All are able to see the screen full view, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, fine. Now here we have seen what is process control block, and we have seen what is a process. In a simple term, to say process is nothing but the work which is done by CPU. The how CPU is getting the work executed is what we call as process. In a simple term, suppose we have written a program. We have written a program using any of the programming language. That program is getting executed. That is, CPU is working to execute that program. CPU is completing a task to execute that program. That execution of work is what we call as process. Okay, and we have seen various states of process. Like we have there's a process state diagram. We have new, ready, running, waiting, and terminated. That is, a process will come in. It will go to the ready queue. From ready queue, it will go to the running state. From running state, if it requires any input output, it will go to the input output waiting room. It will complete the things, and from there it will go to the ready queue. Suppose if it is abrupted, or if it has to be stopped in between, then it will be interrupted. It will again go back to the ready queue. Otherwise, if it is successfully executed, then it will go to the exit and it will be terminated. These are the various states that we have seen in the previous classes. And for a process, these are the various things every process will have. It will have process number, that is just to identify. It will have the state of the process, that is in which state it is, new state, ready state, running state, waiting state, or terminated state. In which state the process is, the program counter, register is nothing but the memory. Every process will have a separate memory, that is the process register memory, the memory limits, and what are the files it requires. So this is what is a process control block. Now continuation to this, okay, continuation to this, we have something called as process scheduling. Simple thing we can say, suppose I'm working on a computer and I'm executing a C++ program. I've written a C++ program. Now in this program, whatever I've executed, what it has to do, the program has to be executed. So in order for the program to be executed, what it will do is, it will go to the memory. As soon as I write a C++ program in developer C, normally we were using developer C. So once I have started developer C and I write a program, and if I press F11 for compilation and execution of the program, what happens? This program will be executed and it will give the output. So in the meantime, how it is happening? That is what we have seen as a process. Now next thing, suppose along with the program, I have opened one more application also. Let's say, for example, I'm listening to songs in the background. I'm listening to songs in the background and I'm doing the program. Both I'm doing simultaneously. There, what is happening? It has to do both. Will it, once I start the program, will it stop the songs? Is it stopping the songs and executing my program, or it is simultaneously doing both the things? Yes, students, I'm asking you something.
Simultaneous.
Simultaneously, it is doing both the things. Good. How it is doing? So, for that, for the things to be done simultaneously, this is going to come into picture. That is, process scheduling is going to come into picture. That is, both the things have to work. It has to play the songs and it has to execute my program. So how it has to do? It has to plan. Like for example, simple example I'll tell you. You are having classes from morning to afternoon every day. How you are able to follow? You are given a timetable. First class is going to be so and so class. Second class is so and so. Third class is so and so. You are given a timetable, and according to timetable, teachers are logging in, and your people are also able to attend the classes. Yes or no? That is,
Yes,
timetable
sir.
is nothing but a schedule is given for the classes. Schedule is given for the classes. Same way, when two or more programs have to be executed, it has to be scheduled. Those programs have to be scheduled one after the other. That scheduling is what we call as process schedule. Here we'll be having algorithms actually that we'll come across later. Just we'll see the general things. Here, this is what we have seen as a process schedule. Here, when we come to something like a major servers in the sense, simple example I can tell you here is Google. We'll take a simple example as Google. Now, if a Google computer has to execute, how many requests will be coming to the Google computer at a time? Can you imagine? How many people across the world will be accessing Google computer at a time?
Many.
Yes, many. We can say some lakhs, millions.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Now, there what is happening is, though for a normal computer it works normally, not an issue. For the major computers, for the major servers like Google or any other things, many requests, millions of requests will be coming to them. So what it has to do is it has to schedule all the things in a proper way. That scheduling how it is going to do. There will be coming across a term called as maximum CPU utilization. Maximum CPU utilization, that is maximum utilization of the process. There, what is happening exactly? What is this maximum utilization of the process? I'll explain this and we'll come back to normal class. There, what is happening is the CPU has to be utilized up to maximum level. Then only it will be able to give information to millions of people. Suppose if millions of people are accessing, it is doing only 1% at a time, like what we do in our normal day to day. Suppose if I want to pay a bill, previously we used to stand in a queue and we used to get the things. Normally, this happens in before the uh, what we call nowadays before the shopping malls. There we have to form a queue, and they are sending us 5 people, 10 people at a time. Normally, this is happening in the COVID time. So there, what is happening? We are waiting in a queue. First 5 people, then next 5 people, then next 5 people. They are sending inside. But is that store utilized to maximum extent? We can say no. Why? Because previously hundreds of people used to go to the store. Yes or no? So hundreds of people used to go to the store at the same time and do the shopping. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But now what is happening from the time COVID has started? Only restricted number of people are allowed inside. Once those people come out, only then only next batch is allowed inside. Is it maximum utilized over there?
No.
No.
No, we cannot say that is not maximum utilized. When it is occupied to the full level, then only we can say that is maximum utilized. So here also for the same servers, maximum utilization means it must be able to accommodate maximum number of people request at the same time. That is, maximum number of people request has to be processed at same time. That is what is called as maximum utilization of CPU. Are your people are able to follow this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So maximum utilization is nothing but maximum number of requests or maximum number of process have to execute at the same time. Now, why I'm saying this term? So when we come to this scheduling, we have three important terms: job queue, ready queue, and device queue. What is this? I'll explain you what are these three terms in a simple way. What is job queue? What is ready queue? And what is device queue? Job queue is nothing but I'm executing a program. I've written a C++ program. This C++ program, okay, I'll show you. I'm written a program in C++. This C++ program has to go to something called as RAM in order to execute. What is RAM?
Random
Memory.
access memory.
Random access memory. So this C++ program, first, as soon as I press Control F9, it will go to RAM. Then we know that it is going to RAM. So whatever program is there, it is getting stored inside a RAM. From there, it is getting executed. That is, it is getting execute means from here it has to go to CPU, that is processor. From RAM it has to go to CPU. Yes or no? Then
Yes, sir.
CPU will
Yes,
execute the program. CPU will execute this program. Then what CPU will do once it has executed, okay, it will give the output. It will give the output. This is what we know, right? These are steps. We have written a C++ program. That program is going to be stored inside RAM temporarily, random access memory. From there, it has to be executed means it has to go to CPU. There it will get execute. Once it has executed, it will give the output. This is what is a procedure. Now, from this RAM, how it will go to CPU? So this RAM has to send every instruction to CPU in order to execute. So what is the first line, first instruction? Instruction is nothing but we can take in terms of lines. Line number 1, line number 2, line number 3 like that. So first line is going to CPU. It is getting executed. Then second line is going to CPU. It is getting executed. Third line is going to CPU. It is getting executed. Like this, suppose 10 lines are there. 10 lines will be going one after the other and it is getting executed inside CPU. Right? Follow till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when the instructions are going from this RAM to CPU, we can say that the jobs are going to ready queue to be executed. Job is nothing but the instruction, the statement that is going from RAM to CPU. So when the instructions are going from RAM to CPU, they are moving from job queue to ready queue. That is, in RAM we have n number of lines. N number of lines. That is, I'm having 10 lines to be executed inside a RAM. I am having how many lines? 10 lines to be executed inside a RAM. Those 10 lines are going one by one to CPU. So those jobs are going first job, second job, third job, fourth job. Like this, they are going one by one. So when they are going from RAM to CPU, so we can say that they are moving from job queue to ready queue. Ready queue is nothing but in the previous slide, I've explained you if you remember. If you remember, if you go to the previous slide, sorry, see here, it is going from new to ready state. Thus, things are going from the new state to the ready state. That is, they are moving from RAM to ready queue. In technical terms, we say that when they are moving from RAM to CPU, we can say that the work or the process is moving from the job queue to the ready queue. That is what is called as technical term. But in simple terms, the things are moving from RAM to CPU, we can say. These are the things are going to be executed. So once it comes to CPU, it will have 5 different stages: new, ready, running, waiting, and terminated stage. Here we also have one more important thing called as device queue. Device queue is nothing but, suppose I want to execute a program, but I'm waiting for an input device or output device, or I'm somehow waiting for other things to be executed. So I'm not given a chance. I'm kept in waiting room. Okay, like if you are booking a train tickets, previously we used to have waiting list, RAC. Remember them?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, those things, waiting processes, are what we called as device queues. The process which is waiting for a resource, the process which is waiting for a input device or output device, that is what is called as device queue. So we'll be having 3 important things in the process scheduling: job queue, ready queue, device queue. Okay, followed this now, everybody? Able to follow this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now, next thing. Whenever we have this, whenever we have any program to be executed, so these are the things are going to be. From job queue, it is going to come to ready queue. Okay. In ready queue, it is going to execute. It is going to start its processing. That is, from RAM, it is coming to the CPU. From RAM to ready queue to CPU, we can say. So in CPU, it is going to execute. Now CPU is going to decide whether the process is completed. If the process is completed, it will be executed directly. There is no problem with this. If it has to require another resource, so what resource it requires? Does it require an input output request? Then it will send to input output waiting room. If it is requiring a time slice, okay, that is, it requires some time to execute. For example, suppose if I'm playing a audio song will be executed throughout its duration. Suppose a duration of audio song is 5 minutes. So it has to continue its process for 5 minutes, right? So that will be called as time slice. So it will be expiring after the time slice. Then we have one more thing called as pocket child. I'll explain you this. What is this pocket child? And we also one more thing called as interrupt. We have seen interrupt in the process states. So whatever it happens, suppose if it is coming to input output request, from here it will go to input output queue, and from there again to the ready queue. Suppose if it comes to time slice, from there it will go to the ready queue. Pocket child, from there also it will go to ready queue. So whatever things it may be, it will once again go to the ready queue. If it is successfully executed, only it will be terminated. Clear? So this is what is called as queue in diagram. Queues diagram. Ready queue to execution queue or waiting queue, or what type of queue we are going to execute. Okay. You can take a photo shot of this diagram, screenshot of this diagram, everybody. Just I'll give you few minutes, few seconds. Take a Photoshop, everybody. Screenshot. Taken?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, next what we have is, we have one more thing also. When we come to the schedulers, we have long-term schedulers, short-term schedulers. We also have one more term called as medium-term schedulers that will come across. We have long-term schedulers or short-term schedulers. In simple things, we can say long-term schedulers means which are executed for a longer duration. Short-term scheduler means it will be for a short duration. Or in simple thing, we can say job scheduler or CPU schedulers. Now, when we come to this process which is selected should be brought to the ready queue. From the job queue, it has to be brought to the ready queue. And short-term scheduler is nothing but this has to be executed when the CPU allocates the time. I'll explain you this point. I'll explain you when the CPU is going to allocate the time. Now, if we come to exactly schedulings, we have two different types of classifications. Okay, actually we have many things, many types of schedulings. We have first come first serve process. We have shortest term, shortest job first, shortest duration first. Like this, we have many things. We'll come across those things. All these things, all the processes are going to be classified into two different categories. First category is the jobs once it has started. If execution of a job has started, it will not stop its execution, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be, anything can happen, but I'm not going to stop my execution until I complete my work. That is first category of works. First category of works are once the process has started, anything can happen, but it is not going to stop its work until it completes the task. That is first category. Second category of works are it will be interrupted very frequently. Like for example, now I'll explain you this point. Suppose as I've said, my computer is executing 3 different tasks. Say for example, I'm typing a notes in MS Word. I'm typing a notes in MS Word. I'm listening to audio songs. Along with this, I've also opened one more application. Like for example, my computer is getting scanned for antivirus. 3 things are done at the same time. Okay? Following this, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I'm able to do 3 things. First thing is I am able to type something in the Word. Second thing is I'm able to listen to song. Third thing is my computer is getting scanned for antivirus. So, scan for virus. Now, for me, how it appears is it is working in a normal way. All 3 things are working simultaneously as if it appears. Even if you take the mobile also, suppose if you open Zoom now, in the background some files you can download. At the same time, you can open WhatsApp also. 3 or 4 things you can do simultaneously in your mobile also. There what is happening, how it looks is all the things are done at the same time for us. That is what it is looking for us. But internally, it is not doing all the things at the same time. What it is doing is, suppose if you take your mobile itself, it will divide the things into time duration. Like for example, WhatsApp, I'll excuse for execute this WhatsApp for about 10 milliseconds. We'll not say seconds, but milliseconds I'll take. Why I'm saying milliseconds, I'll tell you. WhatsApp I'm executing for 10 milliseconds. Zoom I'm executing for 10 milliseconds. And another application download also I'm executing for 10 milliseconds. So it will happen in a continuous order. First 10 milliseconds WhatsApp, then 10 milliseconds Zoom, 10 milliseconds download. After this, again it will come back to WhatsApp. Again, next 10, that is 31st millisecond, it will come back to WhatsApp. 41st millisecond, it will come to Zoom. 51st millisecond, it will come back to download. So here, why I'm saying milliseconds is, it will not make a time difference for us. What is millisecond? Can we make a difference for millisecond? Can we
No,
make
sir.
a difference? We cannot make a millisecond. But computer can make a difference for millisecond. That is, so what it will do is it will not execute all the things at the same time. It will execute one after the other. first WhatsApp for 10 milliseconds, then another 10 milliseconds, another 10 milliseconds. So for system, it matters those milliseconds. But for us, how it appears is all the things are getting executed same time. There is no difference at all. So that is second category of executing or scheduling the jobs. So these are the two categories of scheduling the jobs. I hope I'm clear with these things.